Good evening, everybody, and welcome again to the Borderline Podcast with me, your host, Andrew Willix. And tonight, guys, I've got an absolutely amazing guest lined up for you. I've got Paul Sinclair, who's travelled all the way down from Dunfermline. I didn't actually think you were that far away, bud.
Yeah, pretty far away. Getting further every time.
Yeah,
so.
and I was going to say, honestly, for some reason, I thought you were Dalkeith.
No, Dunfermline. Next time it'll be Perth, and then eventually John O'Groats. So we'll see what happens.
Nice. So how are you? Sorry, for context, for backstory, me and Paul used to play years ago. Music. I should point out there specifically. Go back to kind of high school years, and I really wanted him on as a guest to kind of go back and talk about those sort of times in my life. And then obviously, Paul, you've just continued on with the music, and you're doing quite well about it. So, you've got gigs lined up tonight?
I do, yeah. I've got a midnight gig in Edinburgh, so that'll be good when I'm getting up for work in the morning. But been doing it for a while now, so I'm used to it. And do you know what's actually mental is you say we used to play together. That was 18 years ago.
I know. It's
a full-grown human person. Yeah.
That is terrifying, actually. Yeah. In fact, we used to play in Mr. McDermott's band.
Mr. McDermott. I'll never call him Michael. It's always going to be Mr. McDermott.
And just this is where I really want to start, because I'm dying to ask you this question. When Paul entered my house today, he says he just spoke to Mr. McDermott, and I had to go, no, save it. How is he?
He's good. Oh, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
He's fainted with anticipation here. So.
Right. I'm really sorry. My chair collapsed.
It did. It was touch and go for a second there.
Proceed, Paul. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Mr. McDermott is good. I spoke to him maybe 4 months ago. Through the magic of Facebook, I basically stalked the guy and found him again and thought, well, I message him. And I thought, go for it. Because I know that a few other people, Jack Brown, who used to do the Rock Jam sessions, he said that he'd been in touch with them too. So I just dropped him a message. He seems to be doing well. He's still playing music, which is cool. And I think he's up north somewhere. And I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was doing what he did with us.
Yeah, the Rock Jams.
Yeah, the Rock Jam, yeah. Up at the high school he's in, but yeah, those Rock Jams, not to get too far ahead, so tell me if I'm jumping ahead.
No.
For anyone that doesn't know what they were, anyone that didn't go to Eyemouth High School, what were they? They were just like a jam session.
Yeah, like I don't know what they were kind of like an intro. What I would think now is like an introduction to playing live music.
Yeah, totally. Like, every Friday afternoon at 3:30, and I was. Can you swear on this?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
You can swear. Yeah, no, it's explicit. You can say what you want.
Flipping terrified. I was fucking terrified to go. It was the school announcements, and I remember at the time it was like Jimmy Manningham, Jono Wilson, Spencer, all these fucking Hall of Fame Eyemouth musicians. To me, anyway.
Yeah, big time.
And then I turned up with a £20 guitar that's tuning pegs were shaped like spiders. So can't imagine we're too thrilled. Of course, Lewis Harrison and Matthew Carroll, Evar, the list goes on. Yeah, and I almost didn't. I don't think I would have stuck with it, but it was Mr. McDermott that was so encouraging, and I couldn't play anything at the time really.
He was a massive driving force.
He was, and like anybody else, I would have sort of been like, this is for me, and I might not have pursued music really. But he was such a positive person, like for everybody. I remember getting so much better because of those sessions, and people coming in that hadn't even picked up a guitar. He would give them the time of day. He would show them. I don't know if you remember, he would even like take time out of his lunch breaks to teach us stuff. And I think that everybody that experienced that's way luckier than they might realize.
One of my massive regrets and hate of myself is leaving the Rock Jams, because
you left the Rock Jams.
I remember.
Oh my God.
I remember leaving the Rock Jams purely because I wanted to play Showbiz by Muse.
Oh yeah.
And then it was going to get dropped from the live gig, so I had to drop it. I was like, right, that's it. Drumsticks are down, lads.
You used to play. I can't remember what the song was called, but it was an In Me song. You used to play that. It's like
I can't remember. I know the song Neptune, but I can't remember what that fucking song is. But in me, that was the very first song that I ever played live, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so.
That's cool.
No, actually, technically, Letters to You.
Letters to You
by Finch.
Oh yeah,
with,
yeah.
Ronnie Gordon.
Nice.
We done it an open mic night at the Maltons, and I was fucking shitting myself.
Yeah.
I remember like signing up to it, and I think we were on like 8:05, and honestly, like, just kept on backwards and forwards to the fucking pisser.
Is that the one that was in the bar area?
Yeah. I used to go down in the bar, and like from there, and as you say, like Mr. McDermott then got us, like for me personally, from there to the stage on the Maltons.
Yeah. Do you remember what the band was called?
Who, Mr. McDermott's band?
Yeah.
Nah.
The Solution.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
The Solution.
The Solution.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah,
he was a maths teacher.
Fudging heck, maybe. Yeah.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, but I was actually talking about this recently as well. We used to put on what was like end of year, like Christmas time.
Yeah,
you could either stay in class or you could come and watch the band play.
Yeah, it was like fifth period sort of.
It was, I think it was just before lunch.
Fourth. That was right. Yeah.
And one of the funniest like Spinal Tap moments of my life was it was me, Mr. McDermott, Jack Brown, Stuart Robson, and I can't remember who was singing. But the curtains were closed and the school was on the other side, and I'd be about 15, 16 at the time. And I could hear one of the teachers being like, all right, we've got a treat for you, you know, it's 2 days before Christmas, just wanted to have some live music, so here they are, The Solution. And we broke into Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer as this curtain slowly opened, and I could just see the whole school being like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, you know, in a school dominated by like New Monkey and sort of trance and all that, you know? Scooter. And then we're just playing Seasons in the Abyss, people with Santa Claus hats on being like, what is going on? But Mr. McDermott wasn't afraid to let us play what we wanted either.
No, that was
no freedom. Swearing though. I remember there was not allowed to swear.
Yeah,
which
is fair enough.
Which
is fair enough.
You know, we're not animals. He was a great guy, and I'm glad to hear that he's still doing well.
Yeah.
And if you somehow end up listening to this, hello, Mr. McDermott. Hope you're doing well.
I hope you're doing well too, Mr. McDermott. As I say.
Michael
McDermott. God, that just doesn't sound right.
It's never going to sound right. But yeah, it was a big catalyst for a lot of people who still play music or who maybe even did it for those couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, probably doesn't even realize how much he helped people. So,
but that's it. Like me now, like those are some of my best memories.
Yeah.
Like when I think back now, like playing at the how many people do you reckon you get into that Maltons bit? You'd get quite a few.
I don't know, a couple of hundred.
That actual stage, yeah. Like, I was going to say, like, playing them gigs, you think back now, you're like, that was pretty daunting back in the day.
Yeah,
I remember, like, one bit that I used to shit myself at was, you know, the drum solo bit in Seek and Destroy.
Oh, yeah.
That's just my cat up
There's
there,
a cat.
by the way. Yeah, that's
literally a cat on the
That's
roof.
Nico. That's Nico. He's about to come inside.
That's cool.
He's an absolute. He's not a panther, by the way. There's actually another cat in here. He's up on top of the floor.
Chilling on the roof. Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, they're everywhere in this house. But no, I mind like Seek and Destroy. I used to go at the start far too fast.
Yeah.
And like you know, that kind of like look that Mr. McDermott would maybe give you just if you're slightly off or off key or something like that every time. And I remember all the way through the song, the anxiety to that bit, and then just hitting it. And then I mean, just obviously we got backstage and Mr. McDermott was just so buzzing it.
Yeah.
Like, I say I wouldn't swear, but
yeah, that's class.
Yeah, it's just like inspirational guy, man. Isn't it?
Totally. He, I just try to think like something was in my mind there, and now it's totally gone. But yeah, he was good, and he used to let people hang out at the rock jams as well. I remember like people like Lily and Mary and all that just coming and hanging, and you know, bloody hell, fair play to the man. Fair play to the man indeed.
So like, what like. So you were at the rock jams.
I was.
And then obviously that's probably where we kind of went separate ways at that point.
Kind of.
I think I would have been leaving school around about that time anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Because me, you, and do they still call him George? Andrew Haynes?
Haynes.
Yeah, Haynes.
I don't know if anybody calls him George these days.
Why did he get called George?
I have no idea.
Like, do people still call you Brello?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go with like Andy a lot now
Andy.
as well.
I'll go with Andy. All right,
Andy,
cool.
Brello.
Yeah. You know, people called me Hunchy in high school, you know, so.
Did you what?
Hunchy?
I didn't know that.
Hunchy, yeah, because I had a bit of a hunch, so, you know, but, you know.
That's nice.
You know, high school kids are mean. No, with the three of us, I remember we did a little thing for a while called Cats and Gravy, I think we called it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And actually I was listening to that California song Coming Down Here because that was one of the songs that we listened to. And the first time, not that I'm advocating this at all because it was terrible. First time I ever got drunk was playing with you guys, and I drank, I think it's like a 2-liter bottle of Strongbow. We had a gig, and I thought it was like, I learned very quickly that's not the rock and roll, not the rock and roll thing to do.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, hey, yeah, I deserved it. I puked. I was lying outside. Oh man, that was a bad night. But no, we did that for a while.
Did you play? Did you play them?
I played, I think, a song and a half. Then I was asked, not so politely, to leave, which is absolutely fair enough.
To be fair, I think if that's the band night that I'm thinking of,
it's Bournemouth or something.
Bournemouth, yeah, and that's where I'm wanting to go. I'm trying to rebook. I'm trying to bring back band nights in some sort of fashion, and open mic nights as well. Just because I don't know, but there doesn't seem to be, or maybe it's just because I don't know. There doesn't seem to be the same kind of music scene around schools as much as when we were back. I don't hear about band nights or anything like that, or any schools kind of hosting them or anything.
Norham band nights and all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, they were so good.
Yeah, they were great.
Literally some of the best nights of my life there.
Yeah. That's the thing. I was talking about this with someone recently about like getting started in music. We kind of had an advantage, but also a disadvantage because we practiced on a big stage. Our first sort of gigs were somewhere like the Maltons, which if you've never seen the Maltons is like this beautiful theatre, amphitheatre thingy. And then bands like playing band nights like Norham, it was always packed. Like playing Coldstream band nights was always packed. So like you're fucking 12, 13, 14-year-old playing all these gigs, and you're like, holy fucking shit, this is cool. You know,
it's so cool.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so
like,
cool.
And then, 5 years later, you learn the hard way that playing a Red Lion in Swindon,
Yeah.
it's not always nothing wrong with Red Lions, nothing wrong with Swindon, but you're like, oh yeah, this is it. Yeah.
It's the well, you totally nailed it. Like I was never lucky enough to play at Norham, but I think one gig that I did play at, it wasn't actually with the school band, it was with Kick in the Teeth, which was
oh my God.
me, Haynes, Gary Lowe's, Mark Alexander, and Ronnie Gordon, and that was a packed night, and there was a really, what was the band from Barrett called? They done the song Hate Engine. Inversion. Mm-hmm. They were just on before us, so like everybody was pretty fucking pumped up from them being on. Yeah. And then we went on, and our very first song was one of our own. No, was For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Oh, nice.
And then everybody as well just kind of kept on going and going. And I remember like the proper kind of like stage presence, kind of God complex rock god kind of thing. It was like hitting the double bass on and like just seeing a little circle pit at the front. And I was just like, wow, I've made it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. I ended up doing a little cameo in Inversion. I did a couple of gigs with them. They were, I remember at the time, they were the only heavy metal band for miles around. Yeah,
they were quite good.
They were good.
They were quite good. I remember. So what bands would you have then broken into then?
After school.
After school, yeah. Did you just kind of like keep going with the music straight after school?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, essentially. I was in Scope for a long time.
Oh yeah, yes, I remember Scope.
Who doesn't? No, Scope were class. I was actually with Scope till about the pandemic.
Really?
We kept going for a long time. So that was me and Matthew Carroll and Lewis Harrison. Because we lived in Coburn's Path. Lewis lived in Ecklaw. And again, it was actually because of the Rock Jam that I ended up with them, because they were practicing as a two-piece and then they needed a third. Yeah. And I was shit at guitar and slightly better at bass, so they gave me a bass. And then, we ended up playing for years and years. We did a fair few gigs, went to Europe a couple of times, which was fun. Just booking it ourselves, but having a good time.
Yeah, that's still class, though. Did you go to many countries?
With Scope, we went to Belgium. We played in Amsterdam a few times. We sacked off a gig in France, which meant a very angry phone call from a very angry Frenchman. I didn't know what was going on, and I was just
surprised you didn't spark a protest.
I can remember I for some reason thought the thing to do here is pretend to be someone else. So I was like, "Oh, am I done? Are you talking about?" And like, didn't work. we played in Ireland. We went and did, but again, it's just booking it ourselves and thinking, let's go away. And we would usually try and do something fun, like we went to see Aerosmith in Munich, so we thought, well, we'll go and do that, and we'll play a couple of gigs around that, you know. So we did that for a while. Amsterdam was really cool. I always forget the name of it. Taking Back Sunday, do you know them?
Vaguely remember Taking Back Sunday, yeah.
They got up on stage with us in Amsterdam once. Which
wow, that's really amazing.
To sing Sweet Home Alabama of all,
really?
of all songs. So I did that for a long time. And then Lewis, Matthew and myself kind of brought it to a close, around about the pandemic, which we kind of migrated from an originals band into like a covers band, which was great. You know, we're still doing like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, that kind of stuff you want to play, which I'll get to in a bit. And then from there, I've been in fucking hundreds of bands. Like Ambience Brother was probably the one after that.
Ambience Brother, I've definitely heard of Ambience Brother.
Ambience Brother was
a couple of that a more barrack
kind
band.
of, yeah. So Ambience Brother was me and Matthew Carroll from Scope.
Yeah.
And then we met Stephen Walker and Joe and Ewan, Hannah and Anna, and we did that for a little bit. That was cool. Probably the music that I've made with people that I would like look back on the most fondly, if that makes sense. That was
absolutely.
First time I was actually writing songs and like being like, holy shit, like it's actually real, you know?
Yeah, this is happening.
Yeah, like and again, it goes like we played a couple of gigs. We played in the Barrels, and it was. I remember like there was probably 50 folk there, but there might as well have been 50,000. You know, it's just like that buzzing about it. And then from Ambience Brother, went to the Warehouse Announcement, which is a band with myself, Scott Courtney, who runs the Berwick Bandits, the Speedway company.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Bob Laidlaw, who was in
Bob.
Applecore Masters.
Applecore Masters. Yep.
They were local legends back in the day.
Zenon.
Yeah.
Zenon was the
Zenon was in them.
singer. Yeah. I that.
Liam and Noxie as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Goldie, who was in a band called Clip Tonight. And then by that point, I'd moved to Eyemouth. Big up Eyemouth. Also, I'd also like to shout out John Peakman. I heard that he was shouted out on the last.
He was shouted out on the last one. Yeah.
I played music with him for a bit.
Did you?
Yeah. I'll without getting too far ahead, I played a couple of gigs with Andrew Valentine.
Oh wow, cool.
I was in his backup band, and John Peakman was there too. So
that's excellent.
Yeah. But went to Warehouse. I was living in Eyemouth by that point. Then I moved to Berwick, and just I was with them. Kind of still am now. You know, we don't gig as much. But yeah, I was 18 at that point. Played a bunch of local gigs with. It was usually us and a band called Espionage de Loc, who were a band that I looked up to at the time.
Yeah.
In 2010, we went to America for I think it was like 2.5 weeks.
Wow. I think I remember seeing something like that.
Well, it was in the Berkshire News, all right?
Yeah.
Very big.
That's how I remember.
The good old Berkshire News. Yeah. I went there in January with a speedway company because they do it on ice over there because it's not dangerous enough, obviously.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so we went and did that. And then, yes, I spent a good few years with Warehouse. Had a great time with them. Still do. We played up and down the country. Released a few albums. Played some of the best gigs of my life with those guys. And it was exciting.
You make some fantastic music.
Well, sometimes.
No, I mean it.
Thank you.
Obviously, when we first started talking about doing this podcast, straight into Spotify, obviously I'd listened to your tracks on there and then started listening to the Warehouse announcement, and I honestly didn't realise how good your music is.
You just assumed it'd be rubbish.
Just assume.
No. What I get all the time, and I think a lot of musicians get it, it's not just me, is that somebody will listen to my stuff or listen to me sing and be like, "You're actually pretty good." I'm like, what did you think? Like, you thought it'd be terrible. That was a sort of crux of song making, was probably Warehouse did it the most with them. We kind of took a bit of a step back again with the pandemic. We played our last gig pre-pandemic. like 4 days before lockdown, 5 days before lockdown,
Well,
and when coronavirus was an actual thing, we were playing. It was Dramash in Edinburgh. It was like a Saturday night. It was pretty busy, and there was people like coughing and sniffling, and folk were talking about this thing called Corona, and like 4 days later, the whole fucking world was shut down, and then since then we do stuff now and then. We played a gig recently, which was really fun, and that's kind of in a nutshell. A quick example.
No, that's cool. There's plenty of points that we can pick and go from there. So, like, obviously, when you say that you first started making music with the rock jams and whatnot, who are kind of like your early musical inspirations? How were they like kind of sculpting the way you play and whatnot?
Believe it or not, my first musical icon was, there was two. There was Michael Jackson, and Jimmy Nail.
Crocodile Shoes.
Crocodile Shoes.
Oh my god, I absolutely love that song.
Me too.
Man. Yeah,
Me too.
Absolutely love that song.
My mom's got a video of me like 3 or 4 years old singing Crocodile Shoes.
That's insane. I'm pretty sure my mom's got a cassette
tape
of me probably singing Crocodile Shoes around about the same
Crocodile
age.
Shoes, man, what a tune. Yeah. That was the first time I remember being like, wow, music's good. And then Earth Song by Michael Jackson really, really got me into it. I was obsessed with Michael Jackson from the age of 6. But then, by the time Rock Jam came around, I was the typical like Nirvana, Nirvana, Bob Dylan, Pantera, all these kind of bands. And as cheesy as it sounds, I was very inspired by like the older kids, in the school.
No, it's weird because I'm the same way. Like Jimmy Manningham, you named. There was almost kind of like a respectful intimidation.
Yeah, totally.
If you could call it that, for want of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of when you see these guys, especially when I went and seen them at Norham, you were just left in awe of them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes of their stage presence, because they were so real to us at the time, and they were doing what we wanted to achieve. And for me, that was a massive inspiration. I totally agree.
Definitely, like it's probably if any of them hear this, then it's borderline quite embarrassing. But again, the part of the intimidation with the Rock Jam was like, am I worthy to actually go and be with these people?
100%. 100%.
And like years later, like I said that to Jimmy. I was like, like maybe after a couple of pints, I was like, you're one of the reasons I play music. And he's like, shut up, man. Like, oh, fuck. I nearly fell off a chair.
No, we can't both go down.
I know. But so there's people like, like the bands that I liked, and again, the local people that I liked. And it goes back to Mr. McDermott, probably one of the biggest influences of my life, But back in the day, I was your typical grunge, Nirvana, like. I
think that's where we all started.
Yeah, I think so.
If you weren't quite there, I think you're either just on the Metallica side. But I think it was kind of like a year or two older than us. Yeah, you're on the 80s kind of side of the rock. Us, it was the kind of 90s grunge scene.
I think you could either like Nirvana, Metallica, Iron Maiden. I think that was like the big ones.
Trio. Chris Much.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to him recently?
I have not. No, I did see that he is married to Terry McGaw.
Ah, yes. Cool.
So I hope they're both doing well.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen Chris in a long time. He was another Rock Jam alumni, isn't he?
Yeah. Just when you said Maiden,
he was the Iron Maiden guy. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And like, so see, like, obviously, when you start making music, would you say that your early influences kind of shaped your songwriting, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way you process it?
When I first started sort of writing music, it was more of it's always been a collaborative until quite recently. So like the first song that I recorded that I was part of the writing process, I was 13. It was a song called Sweet Rock and Roll by Scope. And then,
absolutely brilliant song.
Lewis wrote 90% of it, but I was like twiddling away on the bass. And then at the time, because it really depended on, like, I don't say who I was with, but like when I was with Lewis and Matthew, it was Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Rush, all these like great people. Yeah. And then as I moved on to like Amin's brother, it was bands like Porcupine Tree and Pink Floyd, and and then with Warehouse, it was like Alice in Chains, so it kind of it's always the same bands that I grew up listening to, but like it just depends where I take it from. So I don't know if that answered your question or not. But
it definitely did. It definitely did. Because I can agree. Definitely, Scope was what I would call, if I went into Spotify and just hit rock, it would scope kind of convey that, or certainly the song Sweet Rock and Roll.
Sweet Rock and Roll. NC Wincy Spider is the one that follows us everywhere.
Oh, yes. It's all coming back.
People
man.
Still, only in Eyemouth, I'll come to Eyemouth and folk will be like, NC Wincy Spider. I'm like, yeah.
I'm sure, I'm positive I got a flashback. Did you guys play, the old cinema?
Yeah, we did. In Berwick.
In Berwick, yeah.
Yep,
I've like a flashback memory in my head there of you guys playing Incy Wincy Spider.
We did. That's right. Yeah. That's a Premier Inn now. It's been knocked down.
Is it?
Yeah.
Also, it is. Actually,
I think it was like quite condemned at the time as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, we used to, just across the, I don't know, can you remember the pub across the road, the Hen and Chicken? That's closed down now too.
Yeah. I think I was too young to go in, but
you're never too young to going into the Hen and Chicken.
I'm saying nothing about that.
that's where we used to go before the Malton shows.
Yeah, the Maltons.
Hen and Chicken.
Class.
So like obviously your other bands, you say influences like Porcupine Tree, Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, but Alice in Chains for the Warehouse announcement.
Yeah, Alice in Chains for the Warehouse, just because of their vocal melodies. That were quite cool, you know. And like I'm not now. I used to be really embarrassed when people would be like, "What do you like?" And I was like, "Oh, Nirvana." Like it was never like, "Oh, Vivaldi and Mozart," and I simply love this band you've never heard of, you know. Like I do quite like bands like that, but like my influences are definitely sort of people that you've heard of, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
and I used to be embarrassed about that, but I'm not anymore. But yeah, like there's a couple of songs in the last Warehouse album that we did where I basically rip off Alice in Chains' melodies and harmonies.
Not a bad way to do things.
And then like I just think that, and I could be totally wrong. It's all subjective, and I don't want to sound like I'm prattling on too much, but especially with Warehouse, when we started to write songs, like they would always write the music, and I would come up with the melodies, the song, the lyrics, and the melodies. But without sort of going too much into it, like I found and still find that Berwick and sort of Northumberland, that area, has such a unique like musical style about it. Like there's so many bands that like no one will ever like hear from again that like shaped like my sort of influences back then. Like
you mentioned Applecore Masters.
You know,
like, I remember that
Breakfast for Jingle.
Oh, that's the one. Again, Norm Baden night.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, Applecore Masters come on and they're going to finish with it. And it's everybody was saving just a little bit of something for the end of the night because you're going to finish on that song. And what a fucking song.
Absolute tune. Yeah. Like, totally. I mean, I've been lucky. I saw Michael Jackson when I was 7 years old, but I also saw Applecore Masters do a reunion gig in like 2011, and I probably hold them both at the same level.
Absolutely.
It was Christmas Eve in the Barrels, and it was them and This Side Up did like a one-off gig, and to me, that is just as good as seeing like any other famous band I've ever seen. But so I mean, I think that especially when I was younger, like I was 18 when I started with Warehouse. I was 12 when I started playing music. So the Berwick sort of bands, when I was doing stuff with them, I was really influenced by them, to be honest.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I don't know if you'll remember these guys. Can you remember a band called the Stick Finleys?
Yeah, totally.
Like, I was mad into the Stick.
They're
Finleys.
on Spotify now.
No way. All their older tunes as well.
Yeah.
I'm definitely listening to them after this. I've actually been looking for their old album.
I've got a Stick Finley CD.
Yeah, one of their EPs
on my wall. Yeah,
there's fantastic little EPs there.
I remember the first time I saw them, they did. I just thought the dude was like Kurt Cobain brought back to life, and then they did Serve the Servants, and I was like, holy fucking shit! Like Jesus Christ,
really good. But like them, Amanda went up and watched them. Up at I don't even know if it's still the venue. Well, it's called the Venue, or it used to be called the Venue in Edinburgh. And we went up there and actually came back on their tour bus.
Nice.
It was like a tour bus. It was a little blue transit van thing. All the way back to, they got dropped off at Hoyk, and then their tour manager, drove us across to Eyemouth just as a thank you for. And I was just like, wow, it was fantastic. But it was just like, as you say, that moment versus meeting Matt Bellamy.
Yeah,
I would probably hold in an even sort of keel there because
totally, man.
At the time you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just totally appreciated what you were saying.
No, the Stick Finley's band. There's a line in one of their songs. Don't think I need you as much as you need yourself. Like, that's one of my favorite lyrics of any song.
Yeah.
Like, they're great. I still listen to them. Like, I listened to them a couple of months ago. Like, they're great.
Yeah,
so
that's weird, man.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely checking them out after this. I'll probably weep a little bit.
Nice.
What's the song? The dun, 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 dun,
That's the
dun,
same one, yeah.
It's
fucking great.
Such a good song, like really heavy rock song as
Yeah.
well, isn't it? Aggressive song.
Yeah, but yeah, like there's just so many of those bands, and I guess I'm biased because I was lucky enough to be a part of some of it, that are just incredible. Like, if you go to the Barrels in Berwick, you go downstairs, they've wallpapered the whole place, like roof to ceiling, with old like band posters, old band nights.
Cool, yeah.
And there's so many bands, like I say, that haven't been around for years, that I look and I'm like, holy shit, man, remember them? They were great, or those guys had a great song.
Yeah.
Like, da, da, da. So yeah, as much as I love the Alice in Chains and the Nirvanas of the world, I also love like the the Ordinary Sons and the fucking Esmeralda Looks of the world.
Yeah,
as well.
no, I 100% agree. Yeah, the unsung heroes
100%.
of the local music scene.
Oh, yeah.
So like playing live in that, obviously you said like when you first started going to the rock jams, you're very, very, very nervous.
Yeah, it was.
What's your first moments of being on the very first stage for the first time?
The very first time I was on
much?
stage, huh?
Can you remember much
I
of
can.
it? Yeah.
I can. I remember it was a band night in Eyemouth High School.
Yep.
Also, Eyemouth High School's all locked down now. What the heck?
Yeah, I think there was a dentist in there.
Ah.
Don't even know if there's still.
Because I would love to go and look at that hall again, because it's got a lot of memories.
A lot of memories in there.
I remember Alpacor Masters, of course, were headlining that night. I think it was just like a Wednesday night or something. Mm-hmm. We were playing, and Jono Wilson he always sang Seven Nation Army, and he wasn't there, so I got asked to do it. And for some reason, a bunch of like the first year, I was in first year kids came along, and they started a little Paul chant, and I was fucking terrified. I remember looking at Jimmy, and Jimmy was like, "Speak to them, say something." And I was just like, "How's it going, guys?" And to show how fucking old I am, like I was like, "This is a new song, a hot new track. It's called it's called fucking Seven Nation Army. It's in the charts, And that was the first thing I ever did. And then that same night, because in the rock jams it would rotate, so everyone would get a turn. I played Enter Sandman. That was the first time I played an instrument on stage.
Yeah.
And I remember really distinctly, I knew the down, 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 down. Didn't know how to play the down, 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 down. So I used to pretend every time, like, that the bass had broken at that point. And I would be like fiddling with the knobs, and like, oh fuck, Jesus Christ, and like, and then it would magically be fine for the down, 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 down. Like I must have done it like 10 times, and they were like, obviously this guy's at it. And I really distinctly remember, again, it's something I was talking about not long ago. To me, I felt like there was thousands of people there. However, during Enter Sandman, Liam Porteous, he did a stage dive. He ran out, did a stage dive. So spectacularly that he sailed majestically over everybody and just landed like on the ground. Yeah, and Mr. Booth, there's a flashback for you.
Oh, no, I didn't want that.
Mr. Booth made sure he was okay and got him up, and then Applegore played, and then my next gigs were the Norm Band nights. But yeah, I was absolutely fucking terrified. It took me a while to actually like have any kind of personality. I would just sort of sit really, stand still, and
typical.
Yeah. And obviously, I was very intimidated because everybody else was a lot better musician than I was.
There was always somebody a lot better than me.
Oh yeah. I mean, God, even looking back now, it's so like, even thinking about this, it's mad because like it's such a huge part of our lives.
Yeah,
but
growing up,
you move one town over and it doesn't exist. It's so weird.
It's incredible, isn't it? Like when you look back, you're like, wow, that really did shape a lot of what we do now.
But it's like everyone's life's within like a 5 mile radius.
Yeah.
because I remember like the first time I ever saw Lewis Harrison play guitar, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, man, that guy can go for it, you know.
Can really rip a guitar.
Yeah. And he was at the time he'd be like 15,
Yeah.
you know. And Jimmy, he always had that. He had that flying V, which I thought was the coolest thing, you know.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Jono and Ivar on the drums, you know, like. And then there's me being like, "Hi guys."
Obviously for me, Kieran Mark.
Yeah,
he was just still is a stupidly good guitarist.
I did a thing. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but I did a thing like 5 years ago with Kieran and Jonah Wilson.
Yeah,
called State Schools, which lasted a couple of months, maybe 6 months. It was fun. But Kieran, his guitar parts were just insane. Like I forgot
like technical
how good he was.
Is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and he's quite effortless as well.
Yeah,
like,
very like natural talent.
Yeah.
So like, how long did it take you? So it kind of took you a little bit of time to kind of get used to being on stage. Do you obviously do you still get nervous now if you go on stage?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Like I would say the majority of the gigs I'm doing at the moment are like covers-y, acoustic-y, rock sort of covers-y bands, you know, like tonight, for example, I'm playing tonight in town. That's just like a sort of classic rock sort of covers-y band that we do. And I get nervous, it sounds daft, but I get nervous if it's quiet, you know?
Yeah.
Like if there's not that many people there.
Because you're going to be...
Yeah. And like, I'm sure it's the same with a lot of people, but like I can be better on stage if there's people there.
Yeah.
You know, it's different as well because like obviously you get different reactions. So for example, a few weeks ago I played with the Warehouse again in Berwick, and those people that are at the gig are there to see these bands, you know, like they're here because they want to see like Pave the Jungle or Us or whatever band, Easter Street that's on that night. However, tonight in Whistle Binkies, those people that have a pint and listen to music, you know, they're not there to see you.
I see that. I've never actually quite thought of it like that.
Yeah, and so that's I find that's more nerve-wracking, because I could like Stramash. Have you ever been to Stramash?
No.
I've pretty much lived there. Like I play there a lot, and I love it.
You've residency there.
Every Tuesday I play there, and then I play there. That's acoustic, just on my own, and then I play there with the Covers-y band as well, and I played there with Warehouse a couple of times. It's a big hall, like it's an old church, so it's a big room, and like if it's a quiet night, then it's a big room, and you're one person standing there. That's much more nerve-wracking to me than if there's like 800 people there, you know.
The thing about it like that would be quite intimidating. Especially when you think of like a size of a room. Yeah, it has a lot to do with it.
And for me, nerves, quite an anxious person at times. Like I used to play a lot of, and there's, you know, nothing wrong with these gigs, but I used to play a lot of like pubs and stuff. Yeah. And I would always, most of the time, go down pretty well. But I kind of took a step back from that because that would make me too nervous. Because there was people there, like, well, it wasn't a venue designed for music, if that makes sense. So I just felt like I was going in and like ruining people's nights. So I kind of took a step back from that. So yeah, in short, I still get nervous if it's like a certain situation. I'm better these days. You know? That's
cool. What's the biggest crowd that you reckon you approximate, or if you know the number?
I don't know. I've probably been close to 1,000.
Wow, that's quite a lot. That's a lot of people. Like
couple of times. Usually, but that's like a couple of one-offs.
Basically, what's 1,000 people that are there to see you versus 10 people that maybe don't appreciate you though.
Yeah, and I've played in front of zero before. You know, like I mentioned that we went to America when I was 20. You know, there was one gig we played in New York in front of no one.
Go just tell me about America, just for a little bit more in depth, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. So Scott Courtney, he used to race Speedway. He retired. He started a band. I believe at the time, I can't remember quite the sort of specifics. I think he started the Warehouse because somebody that he knew wanted a band for the Speedway thing in America. Yeah. So he got together like just a bunch of people, musicians, and I lived with Stephen Walker at the time. He was on the bass. He asked me if I wanted to go along and sing, so we did. So I did, sorry. And then so long ago, I do remember it was like pretty much like the early sort of makings of that band was for that.
Yeah.
So we went, and what we would do is again, I think I was like 20, 21, maybe even 19. I can't remember.
That's scary. Yeah, like that's a young age. Yeah.
2010. I would have been 19 actually. Yeah. So we would go and we would play in some arenas, or one arena in particular, before the actual races themselves.
Yeah.
Playing like the foyer or something, and then they had a couple of nights, like speedway nights, and we would play there for them, and then we would go off and do our own gigs that we booked as well. The first night, I remember I lived in is it Hinker Way? I lived up in Hinker.
Yeah.
I lived up there.
Yeah, across the it would be it's other side of town.
Yeah. I lived up there, or like the new house bit at the time. I lived there next to Hinker Way, and me and Steve just like phoning, which is mental when you think about it now, because phoning places in America, being like, hey, how's it going? Can we come and play at your place, please? No? Okay, cool. But we got a couple from that, and I remember me and Steve rather, managed to get a gig at a place called Foo Bar. I still remember the name, Foo Bar in St. Louis. And we played there, and we turned up, and it was like a fundraising event for stray cats and dogs. And we were like, oh fuck, but it was cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So we started in St. Louis, and we made our way to New York. So we played along the way. Played a couple of nights in New York City. Went out to the sort of suburbs of New York as well, a place called Elmira.
It's really beautiful on like outside New York.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's great.
I've never actually been, but
it's lovely. Yeah.
Videos. Let's just see.
It was during the time, that really, really bad winter where everything was like fucked. All the roads were closed. That was then. So I remember really distinctly Creed were touring at the same time, and that was like all over all the radio was Creed. Like, Creed are back, yeah.
Was that when is that when they became like, no, when did they become massive with Mass Sacrifice again? Because that was the 90s. Wrestling.
Yeah,
that appeared as a wrestling advert for "Don't Try This at Home" or something, wasn't it? And then Creed,
I'm not gonna lie, that is a tune. That Mass Sacrifice was in my top 100 songs of 2023, like on Spotify.
Did you just put? Yeah. I love that song. So they were a massive influence on me growing up.
Totally.
The guy can sing.
He could.
The guy's got range.
They're doing a cruise next year, so if
they're doing a what?
They're doing a Creed cruise.
And
and it's like them and like Stained and people like that, you know. Like,
wow. Well, actually on a cruise.
On a cruise, yeah. It's very chic. Yeah.
It's quite a cool idea, that.
Yeah, totally. So
you're at New York.
Yeah. Did that, and then it was a good laugh. It was good fun. It was a lot to take in for a 19-year-old guy.
That's got to be quite eye-opening.
It was, and I was like, it's going to be like this forever. And obviously it wasn't, but but I'm, like I said, I'm just glad I got to do it.
Glad I got
a
cool to be fucking there. Experience, man.
It was, and it got me in the Berkshire News. So
yeah, well, that's I
complain.
Heard about it.
Yeah, so that was good.
So how did you adjust? Obviously, you come back from America and then kind of straight back into music.
Yeah.
Were you like? I don't want it to sound. I don't want it to sound cheeky as fuck. Obviously, in work during making music.
Yeah. I mean, I worked at Asda. Yeah. Rock and roll. And I wrote songs about working in Asda. And then I've pretty much always worked. There was like a 6-month period where I got paid off from a job, and I was still doing the band. But I've always worked full time. Yeah. Whilst pursuing music. And I've just like, if I needed, like for example that America trip, I just took unpaid leave, that kind of thing. Yeah, definitely a weekend warrior in that sense. And then sort of later on, for I think it's like 7 years. I still work for the company, but I worked sort of 0 hour for an event company.
All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So I could fit that around going, like, if Lewis phoned me up and said, right, we're going to Ireland for 15 days, then we would go and play over there. And
Yeah.
I could just take the time off for that. So I've had flexible jobs.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I never did quit. You know.
No, that's
I always kept going.
So I just kind of want to fast forward. We're kind of going to go a couple of years to coronavirus, because that is where it would stop you in your tracks.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Quite literally, yes. So coronavirus for the was a funny old time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went from the time of coronavirus. I was with Warehouse. I was doing my own sort of solo-y shows, and I was still with Scope, who was very cover central, you know, busy with stuff like that. And I was on and off. I was depping for a couple of bands as well. I ended up in an Oasis tribute band for a little while.
Wow, that's cool.
That was quite cool. Yeah, some of the maddest gigs I've ever played. Like, because
I was gonna say,
go fucking mental for Oasis.
I bet they go fucking mental. Are they touring again?
No. Liam Gallagher is.
Right, that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen.
But no, not Oasis, sadly. But yeah, so like I say, we played a gig, like it must have like 4 or 5 days before lockdown, and at that point I had lost my job, or not lost my job, but essentially lost my job. I worked in events, I still do, and we were sort of told, like, it's
just not.
Yeah. Like,
what can you do?
Work just started getting cancelled left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
We're like, what the hell's going on? It's like, oh, it's this wacky little thing called coronavirus. It's like, okay, cool. That'll last a couple of weeks.
Yeah. God,
So I'd actually already lost my job, essentially. Well, it just wasn't there at that point.
Yeah.
Didn't lose it. They actually, as a sidebar, they looked after us really well. We got furloughed and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
I work in events, which is kind of ties in with music, and so both aspects of my life were taken away, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a sidetrack. Yeah, we played Stramash, and then I actually played Stramash a couple of days later with another band that I'm covers band that I'm with, the one I'm playing with tonight. And there was maybe 3 people in. And I remember I turned to the guitar player and be like, we shouldn't be here. This is weird. Like, it felt weird, you know? And then, like 2 or 3 days later, I remember speaking to Lewis, because we had a gig on the Saturday in Edinburgh. And he was like, all right, cool, I'll see you on Saturday. And then I went, it's just been cancelled. He went, well, I will not see you on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him for 2 years, just because of the way it goes, you know?
Yeah.
And everything was gone. No more music, no more anything for everybody, you know. And yeah, that's when I did a couple of quarantine streams for charities and things like that, or like awareness of things.
That's cool.
I started writing music a lot more. My flatmate, Ryan, he was working at home, so he would work at home, and I would sit in the living room and just twiddle away.
Yeah.
Between that and like doing big massive walks every day, because that's all you could do.
Yeah.
I like everything. I had plans to, like, I'm gonna write an EP and blah, 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 and I think I released 1 song during lockdown. Recorded about 20, but every musician knows it's not even just musicians, but you know, you have that self-doubt. You're like, fucking hell, let's, you know, just delete that, and you should never delete it, you know.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I've started very loosely started writing music again.
Nice.
And recording myself.
Yeah.
For this, and it's I mean, I can't sing. I'm learning how to try. I'm trying to learn how to sing. Is what I should say.
Everyone can sing.
Well, that's what I'm starting to understand. It's just everybody can sing. It's just how you sound to everybody else.
Well, yeah.
It matters.
Exactly right.
But no, that self doubt, like when you hear it back, especially when you're recording yourself a cappella.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember the first time, and I must have been about 13, 14, having to record, and it was recording in someone's bedroom, and them laughing because obviously you're singing a cappella, really, because only you can hear the music.
Yeah.
People were like, fucking hell. And it is daunting, and it's so daunting, you know. And even now, I hate it. Like, I just not too long ago released a single on Spotify, like We're Never Coming Down, available now.
Yeah, definitely go check it out.
Yeah, with Bob Laidlaw, who is the drummer in Warehouse and the bass player in Alpcore. And we were in he's really good with all that kind of stuff. He's great, like virtuoso with the recording. In his room, he's got like a nice setup, and even then, like me and Bob have recorded together since 2009. And he was like, "Off you go," and I was still like,
it's
really, just fucking singing out loud, and it is daunting. Yeah. I lost my train of thought there. So
it's fine. Yeah, no, we're just talking about obviously recording. No, it's funny because obviously, like I say, I can't sing very very well. When you're in the car, it's not daunting. You can belt out these, and it sounds like you're hitting these tremendous notes and whatnot. You stick yourself in a cappella, and you can just tear yourself apart easily. You could go insane doing that.
You could, but I mean, look at like one of my all time sort of influences, songwriting wise, is Bob Dylan. Fucking terrible singer.
Yeah,
but his stuff's amazing.
What's the guy? Deftones. What's the guy singing?
The
frontman. He was a pretty terrible singer as well. In fact, I'm pretty sure they were as bad that the record label turned back around to them and says you have to learn how to sing or else that's
you're fired.
Done it. But as you say, like it sometimes doesn't actually matter how you sound.
No.
The lyrics are important.
Yeah.
How did you find like songwriting during lockdown?
Interesting. So I mean, I just had time, like everybody. Like I say, I was furloughed, so no one really knew what was. I mean, I'm not saying anything. No one knows. No one really knew how long this was going to last. So it was going to be 2 weeks, 2 years, 2 million years. So I would just sit down. I had a little sort of a 3/4 length keyboard, and I would just sort of tinkle away at that. And I always write every song I've ever written is about something that's going on or something that's I don't sing like went to the bar and fucked a bunch of chicks, because I didn't. I didn't do that. Like I always write about like
real stuff,
important
stuff,
and like it might sound like gibberish to some people. So lockdown, there wasn't a lot to write about because I was sitting being like, what the fuck's gonna happen? Like, so I mean, I would write stupid little songs. I would, even just to keep myself sane, and I don't know if this is something that other musicians did, I would pretend that, not pretend, that's the wrong word, like I would make little jingles, like, I would watch something and be like, right, I'll set some music to this and just like record that.
Just record it.
And then that's 4 hours, and then I'll probably never listen to it again,
Yeah.
And then, but again, without sounding like a total fucking big-headed idiot, some of the stuff you go back and you're like, this actually sounds, at the time you're like, fucking hell, that sounds terrible. And then you're like, it doesn't sound that bad,
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you like, especially with what's going on in the world, you say you don't really know what's going on. You go back and you listen to something that was written there, or even you listen to something there that was written before there, and then you can appreciate it so much more because your environment's changed as well. And
totally. I mean, again, Bob, who I do a lot of recording with, he was the one that told me, like, never delete anything. Like, keep it. And I would encourage anybody to not delete it because, like I say, there's been stuff I've been like, that sounds fucking awful. And then I'll go back and I was like, oh no, it's actually got potential, So yeah, never delete it,
It's funny. I just think, can you remember the track I Wish I Never Knew?
Because now I'm singing on my own.
You're gonna be a guest vocalist one day, boy.
Yeah, man. I fucking do you remember?
I was gonna say, because when I think back now, I'm like, I was like writing lyrical songs that, like, I mean, they're terrible. Like 14 or 15.
I still remember
old.
that melody, so
yeah, that's what I mean, and like it's weird. I was honestly. We had another song. I don't remember the name of it. It says dun, 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 dun. Anyway, and I was just strumming my guitar upstairs like a couple of weeks ago, and I just started playing that. And then as I went in, the lyrics started coming out, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
It's up there. It's still up there.
It's still up there. Yeah. It's still up there. And like, to everybody else, they might have sounded shit, but even to me, even to now, I'm like, that's quite precious.
Yeah.
Like, when you make something, it really does mean a lot to you.
Totally. I can't remember maths. Okay, can't remember what for my dinner last week. I can remember most songs that I've ever like written. I can still play them, because they meant that to you. Like when I'm warming up to play, like tonight when I go play on the sound check with the bass, I usually I play like a scope line because that I wrote when I was like 12. Because I remember it and it meant something to me back then, and so it's just like in my DNA now, you know. Like, yeah.
I was gonna say, Kieran Mark will piss himself if he hears this, but I had a jingle called Boogie Dish Dosh.
Okay.
That used to be my little jingle for me. It was like, and like, I don't know, he called it Boogie Dish Dosh, but yeah, he'll laugh if he hears that, I'm sure. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's the Boogie Dish Dosh. What was it?
The Boogie Dish, like dun, 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 dun. It was up on the E, the high E on the 12th fret. It was like just a pull off between that and 10.
Class.
And just that on repeat, and then maybe you'd go up to like 15, 14, 12, 10 to
nice.
Pull off.
Even there's still, I can't remember what it's called. I don't know the song. I don't know that there's Kieran Mark. I'm sure it was Kieran Mark. He had this riff he would play with like a almost like reverse pedal on it. And it was like wow 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 wow.
That's me.
Like, is it you?
That's me. I made that song.
Oh well, there you go.
I wrote that song. A lot of the in fact, yeah, I don't care. I can say it now. I'm old enough now. A lot of the, apart from Haynes's guitar stuff, when we done a kick in the teeth, it was I wrote most of the rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
Or that sort of stuff, and the bass parts, and then kind of gave them to Gary. Then I would go off, and then basically what would happen is me and Haynes would kind of make, like, he would do a guitar riff, I'd do the drums, and I'd have some like another idea up there. I thought, well, that can go with that guitar riff that I made. Kind of put that in, go and teach Gary his riff, and then put it all together, see how it sounds, and that's what happened with Kicking the Teeth.
Well, that's in my mind at least once a week, that little riff. So
really? Oh, wow. There we go. Yeah, I remember I've actually still got the guitar pedal upstairs, and I'm pretty sure it's one of them dual pedals that multi-sounding, just like I need to get to A1 to B2 real quick.
That's class.
I'm pretty sure it's still on B1. Because my clean sound was A9 and my heavy distortion was B2.
See, you still remember all that as well,
yeah,
you know?
It's mental. It's actually one thing that I'm really wanting to get quite soon is an electric drum kit.
Nice.
Because I do kind of want to start making music again.
I don't know if you still play, but you were a great drummer.
I don't. No, that's it.
Really?
No, I don't. And that's I'm really gutted that I let that aspect of my life go.
Because me, you and Jack Brown used to just rattle through Nirvana's discography.
You know? Mine when we used to play Aneurysm. We played Aneurysm and what was there was
played Dive, played loads of Lounge Act, loads of them.
There was another one. I remember it's on the Greatest Hits, and we played it amazing.
It's probably my favorite album of theirs.
The songs off Bleach, Being a Sun.
Being a Sun,
That's But is that on Bleach?
It's on Incesticide.
Incesticide.
Yeah.
Damn it.
It's okay.
It's on the Greatest Hits. So it's the best album anyway.
Yeah, of course. It's non-stop.
Do you still listen to a lot of like Nirvana, old kind of bands like that?
Yeah. Like it used to be something that I used to be really conscious of, and then I realized why care. Like I used to be like, oh man, shouldn't really listen to these bands anymore because I'm now in my 30s. But then I was like, well, so?
Yeah.
You know? Like, I used to be quite particular. If someone was like, oh, what kind of music would you like? I'd be like, oh, yeah, like, fucking, like... And I try and name an obscure band, but, like, you know that Spotify rap that everybody goes on about? Like...
Yeah.
My top bands this year was, like, Blink-182, like...
Yeah.
The Beatles, you know?
I'm still the same. Like, my gym podcast, my gym playlist is Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Ironically, there's not a lot of Muse in there because it's something that I listen to outside of the gym. Yeah. I'm still a massive Muse fan, by the way.
Nice.
Do you like Muse?
I do like Muse. I don't.
As he squints his face.
They're one of the bands that I liked later in life. Like at the time, I didn't like the exhale of I couldn't get past that. But then I've realized recently that they're fucking incredible. Same with the Beatles. Like the Beatles were my second most played artists apparently this year, and I was always like, the Beatles, man, fucking hell. But it just like a light bulb went off in my head like last year, and I was like, oh my god. And kind of the same with Muse. Like I couldn't name you because of you, I like Stockholm Syndrome.
That's still my favorite ever song that I've ever played live before, because I used to lose my shit all the time when I used to play that.
Yeah. So yeah, I like I do like the odd bit of Muse.
Yeah, I went and seen them back in June. I think it was my 9th time seeing them.
Nice.
They're good, although I was bitterly disappointed. Right. I would say it was my first kind of like gig, kind of going back outside, and like really, really, really scared and whatnot. Kind of got up there, and then just before we were going back to the hotel to get ready, like their set list times came out.
Oh yeah.
And like straight away, somebody, it was on Reddit, I think somebody was just like, "Oh, we're getting the shortened set tonight," because they were doing like a world tour.
Yeah.
But in the world tour, there was like festival sets.
And
like they hadn't played Glasgow in like 7 years.
Was that Billy Houston?
Houston Park, and like we'd gotten across there and whatnot, and they'd cut like 6 songs out of the set, which obviously it leaves a bitter taste in it.
Yeah, you don't want that.
But speaking of Billy Houston, I went to Foo Fighters there as well.
Nice.
That was in 2000. No, that would be before lockdown, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like 2019, I think it was.
Were you there?
No, I went to the Murrayfield gig before. Like,
yeah.
And I saw Foo Fighters. My mum took me to see Foo Fighters when I was 12.
Wow, did you really?
Yeah. And then what's it called?
The Colour of the Shape?
No.
There's Nothing Left to Lose.
No, the one after that.
Oh my god.
It's the one that's got the heart on the front. Ah, man. It's got
One and One.
One by One.
One by One.
Yeah, on the One by One tour.
We got there.
And what are they called? Opened for them. I can't remember what they're called. That's going to annoy me now. But that was good. I'm sure this is fascinating to anybody that's like, I don't care when you saw Foo Fighters.
No, that's cool. It's just us chatting now.
Yeah.
No, but Dave Grohl's like, I think he's one of them kingpins. Even now, I know, and I don't want to sound...
Cave-In, that was the band that opened for them. Cave-In, they're quite good.
Cave-In?
Yeah.
Can't recall if ever...
Pretty
it's
decent.
weird. Like, how many like support bands do you go to gigs and then you're like, wow, they were possibly... Well, maybe not as good as the main act, but you always... Like this... the Boxer Rebellion for me is a band that always springs to mind, that they were supporting, I think it was Biffy Clyro.
Nice.
I went and seen Biffy Clyro at the Barrowlands back when they released, I think it was their album Glitter and Trauma. And the Boxer Rebellion supported them, and like I still listen to the Boxer. I probably listen to the Boxer Rebellion more now than I do Biffy Clyro now.
I saw a band, the one that pops out for me is get pretty much booed off stage once, and that was again, I went to see the Foo Fighters 2007, and 9 Inch Nails opened for them, which was ridiculous. But then Silver Sun Pickups opened for them, so that was like Silver Sun Pickups, 9 Inch Nails, Foo Fighters, and Silver Sun Pickups thanked Dave Grohl and Trent Reznor for agreeing to close the show for them, and like they just got fucking pelters, like it was like boo. But yeah, sometimes opening acts surprise you.
He's Trent Reznor is one of my biggest inspirations.
I just couldn't believe it. Like, it was a thing called Tea on the Fringe. You don't do it anymore, but I think it was like £25, and it was Foo Fighters and 9 Inch Nails.
Meadowbank.
Yep.
That's I went and seen Muse there.
That's right.
Tea on the Fringe.
Yeah.
Wow, there were amazing gigs as well.
Yeah, I saw the Pixies there. I saw like a whole bunch of great fucking bands there. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, I just got a little bit sidetracked there as the rain comes down really heavily.
Yeah. Hope your cat's all right.
Where is the cat, actually? Is he still up on the roof?
No.
He usually goes into the greenhouse.
Nice.
He goes there in summer. He's the weirdest cat. Did you see how big he was?
He was a bit of a unit, yeah.
He's an absolute unit. That's Nico.
Oh.
I'm totally getting sidetracked. First gig coming out of lockdown then. What was that like?
That was weird. So the first gig out of lockdown, I actually caught coronavirus.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I listened to that in my head.
Yeah. So I didn't get it the whole time. Not that I knew of anyway. And there were seated gigs for a long time, so you would go and it was table service. And again at my good old, I won't say where I was just in case, but like I was doing a gig, and I knew it as well. I think like this guy got up off his seat, which he shouldn't have done, put his arm around me, and he was like, "That was really good," like just in my face,
right in your face. Yeah.
And I remember saying to my girlfriend like, if I get coronavirus, it's because of that. And I did, you know.
Did you get it bad?
Oh man, it was like dying. Like it was proper rough. Like
it's bad, like, isn't it?
Yeah, like, and I just knew that something was bad, and like I'd never felt like that in my life, you know. And it was I remember driving out. I had to go out to Edinburgh Airport to get one of the tests, and I could barely fucking hold the wheel. But after that, it was fine. I played a couple more of those kind of gigs. So it was really weird because obviously, especially when you play sort of rock music or like high energy music, you kind of want people to be up and dancing and having a good time and in your face, but like it wasn't possible because there's this fucking disease that's floating about, and so that took a bit of getting used to, and then even playing Uptown, the Fringe wasn't on that year, so we missed out a lot on that gigs wise.
Of course, yeah,
and I mean I know a lot of really, really talented musicians that do it as a full-time job that like really struggled with that, and I mean I think everyone, the music and event industry's getting there, but there's still that lingering effect from it.
I mean that'll take years to recover from.
And I mean the last, not gigs that I played personally, but the last sort of gig to catch up on was just this year. I didn't go in the end actually, but Guns N' Roses played Glasgow.
Was that on the? That is at the same bloody festival that Muse done their shorter festival set.
That's the one, yeah, Bella Houston, yeah. But I bought those tickets in like 2018, 2019, so it was like 4 years after I bought them,
Yeah.
And it was just it was bizarre to do those gigs, but because there was a capacity as well, so you would play somewhere and it looked empty, but that's as many people as they could get in there,
Of course, yeah.
So and you couldn't go to the bar, you had to sort of sit and that was really weird for like certain places you play. You can't go and talk to people afterwards, can't do this, can't do that,
Did that become much of a problem for you, obviously, when we kind of went into the kind of tier systems? Like if you were playing a gig, were you ever like playing a gig in just say Glasgow, and there was no social contact, table service only, but then you went back across to play the likes of Whistle Binkies?
I just didn't do that.
No, I just thought of that just now.
And no, I kept it local. I still kind of keep it local. Like I'll play other places from time to time, but the majority of where I play is like Edinburgh the areas. Looking to change that sort of next year or so.
Definitely come and do Bournemouth Hall a couple of times.
Hell yeah, I'll do that. That'd be good. And like it just kind of knocked a bit of. I felt like it knocked me a couple of steps back.
Yeah.
I just kind of started, like you were talking earlier about, like, do you still get nervous and all that?
Yeah.
I feel like I was or am like a little bit further back than I was just before that happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
even
like,
now. Sorry, do you mean that?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Like I'm much more reserved when it comes to like playing my own songs live or releasing stuff. Like because pre-pandemic I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Bye.
Yeah, confident.
Yeah. And now I'm kind of like, fucking hell, like, let's just think about this for a second. But like, I think I've spoken to a few people who have the same kind of.
I bet it's quite normal for musicians, especially.
Well, you go from, I went from playing like 3-4 times a week to play nothing for 2 years, 3 years, and now you're kind of like, shit, like, now what,
Yeah.
So, because I've been wanting to get back into writing my own music again, playing live, and there's just that sort of not doubt, just like hesitancy, that I wouldn't have had before. And I think it's just like I say, it's just being out of practice, out of the loop for a couple of years. It kind of put me a couple of steps back, but
steps back.
Yeah, but not necessarily a bad thing, everybody.
No, but that's it. There's nothing wrong with being cautious or too cautious at any time, especially when you're certainly passionate about something. And I would always say for gigging, for me, if I think right back, there is the addictive aspect to playing gigs and playing live, because it is a rush.
It is. It certainly is.
You still get that buzz.
I do. Like if you have like again like a really busy night where everyone's like up for it, and like the band I'm playing with tonight, we do like cover set, which again is something that I used to shy away from, but now I'm like, I'm fucking playing music, like what's to complain about, and I love it. We play the songs we want to play,
What kind of stuff you playing tonight, if you don't mind me asking? Not giving too much
away. No, like so I mean, we play stuff like the old stuff, like I've always played Led Zeppelin, things like that, but then we also play like Weezer, and
I love a bit of Weezer.
Yeah, we play Buddy Holly, a bit of Weezer, a bit of Audioslave, like that kind of stuff. Like what we do is we like to play stuff that but you wouldn't necessarily here.
Here.
And you're like,
Yeah,
fucking hell, like, you know.
absolutely, yeah.
And we always, so like I was saying, like we finish every night with Killing in the Name.
Yeah.
And every time people just fucking lose their shit.
Well,
because it's 2 in the morning and they're pissed. You know?
but
you get that rush and you're like, fucking, and like that's not a song I wrote. You know, it's not something that like I created, but it's something that people are enjoying because I'm doing it, and it gives you that rush. You know,
that's it. There's always like you said, there's always, for me, there's always like the little bits of the songs that obviously you love the entire song, but there's, for me, you could always kind of build to a moment in the song live that you could just let that energy just go, fuck it, let's go. Yeah. And like I was mentioned before, like one on the double bass, and for a drummer's aspect, that always for me was just like, it's quite easy, but I sound fucking I know I sound good. I know I sound good. Like I can be cocky about that. Like I know I sound fucking brilliant. And it's just like the pre-excitement of being like, you still get that like coming up to the last song, being like, I know that this is going to get the reaction. I know this is going to get the buzz. And
but there's also there's the other side of that. Like last week we played Man in a Box by Alice in Chains, and then like wiped the bar out, you know. The guitar player tournament, that's how you fucking empty a bar. Yeah. And like, actually, to be honest, like I've never told him this, so if he hears this, then kudos to you, Brian. Brian, who plays guitar in this covers band, is a big factor for me getting those steps forward again and getting confidence, because like I say, it wasn't the nervousness, it was just like a sort of like, it's weird to play again, and I wasn't really sure about it, and like there's nights where I'm like, fucking, I don't know if I'm up for this tonight, you know. And he's like, mate, like we're here to sell beer, we're here to have a good time, we're here to like, it's like, doesn't matter if there's no one here, doesn't matter if there's 100 people here,
just lose yourself in the music.
If you enjoy it, then that's the main thing. And I'm like, you're absolutely fucking right, you know. And he's helped a lot with my confidence, so cheers, Brian, if you listen to this.
No, that's cool.
I know what you mean as well. There's those moments like we play Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin, and the bit where it's like the really high note, the last verse, that gets my blood pumping every time. And there's a difference as well, like, you know, we have a song, Warehouse have a song called Keep On Moving, and the end of that song is like a bit of a sort of tirade of words, and that gives me a rush every time. Like, but it's a different rush, you know. Again, it doesn't matter if it's in a practice space, if it's just us, or if we're playing it live, you know. Like the rush or the feeling that I get from original songs compared to cover songs is different, but it's still that sort of like, fucking yes, you know.
For me, like, for somebody, obviously I've had my fair share of mental health kind of mishaps. I'm always chasing the dopamine hit, so to speak, and music for that does that for me. And like, as I say, that intensity, that rush. Like if I play guitar, if I go pick up a guitar just and play Hysteria by Muse, I know at that solo, I'm going to be very, very immersed in it. Even up in my bedroom, I'm probably going to start losing my shit. So that's cool. It's just that's what music can do for you, though. And that's why it is so important.
No, it definitely is. And like, you mentioned mental health there. Like, I've been through it as well. You know, it's not something that I've really talked about, but it's something that I'm open with, you know. And music's been a fucking massive help for me. Like, and again, like I was saying earlier about like, I write about stuff. I can listen to something that like one of the, like Warehouse, for example, that I wrote when I was 18, and I can tell you where I was at that point and like how I was feeling, and like, you know, that's what I conveyed onto, and it helps, you know.
100%.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's funny because I talk about this stuff a lot because I still write songs in that sort of sense when I'm feeling shitty and whatnot. In fact, when I had a really bad episode earlier in the year, I actually sat just out on the deck and out there for about 6 hours with my pen and paper, just writing music. And it, like you say, you can look back now and you can think an appreciation and a realness. Not always negative.
No,
it's some positive memories too, but you can really contrast and adjust to those moments in your life. I think for music more than you can with anything else.
No, definitely. And it's not even just, I mean, it's obviously songs that we write, but there's songs that I'll listen to that take me back, like songs by other artists that it'll take me right back to like a certain point in my life. And I'm like, fucking hell, I was doing that when I heard this song, you know. It's one of the most powerful tools, I think, and it's something that is it's definitely made my life better.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's a powerful, brilliant aspect. It's a powerful tool, and if you engineer it correctly, it's a beautiful and very handy tool at that.
Yeah, and it's a tricky one because, like, you know, when I was 12, 13, when I was 6, you know, I wanted to be the biggest fucking star in the world. You know, I wanted to be bigger than the Beatles. I wanted to be like playing Wembley and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Part of me still is like that, you know.
Yeah.
But like I do anyway. You realize along the way that it's not just about that. You know, like you can make it by, you know, someone's definition of making it could be like playing down in the tavern, you know, or someone else is playing Wembley. But like, it's one of those things that like it's not about that anymore for me, at least. It's about that connection to how it makes me feel, you know.
100%.
And yes, like people make it and it's great, but like I'm trying to think where I'm going with this. Like, that's not why you should be doing it. Yeah, you know, it's how you feel and how it makes you feel, and if it makes you feel better, then it's great. You know,
there shouldn't be a commercial value to what you're making. There can be.
It can. Oh no, 100%. Like,
there's nothing wrong with.
No,
nothing wrong
I'd be
with
lying if someone came in here right now and said, "Here's a fucking £1,000,000
for writing."
I'd be like,
"Of course you're gonna take
fuck
it."
Yeah,
Like, of course.
The point I'm trying to get around, which I'm doing terrible at,
You're
is
not. I'm
is that your perspective changes and it becomes like a handy tool for you, I would say.
Cool. All right, it's usually around about this time I'm just going to ask you some random questions.
Go for it.
Just got to think off the top of the head. So we'll start with some music ones. You can probably pick out one common question that's going to come up.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Who do you right now would you say is your biggest musical influence of all time?
Of all time, biggest musical influence. Jesus Christ.
I know that's a hard. In fact, give me your top 3.
Top 3.
I think that's fair.
Again, it's not going to be anybody from like Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
From Pantera. He was one of the reasons that like I really got into music, and more so, I mean, he's not written a bad song in my opinion, but more so the lifestyle and the way that like I've watched every interview, I've watched every backstage thing, and he is a rock star, you know, and
he bleeds it.
He lives it. So yeah, I mean, I have to say Dave Grohl, really, you know. You can't not say Dave Grohl. Again, just like I read his book recently, and he just seems like a good dude,
beautiful man, isn't he?
And he's fucking incredible at everything he does. And then the last one, probably Neil Peart from Rush. I would say he's the drummer. Probably the greatest drummer of all time, in my opinion. And I enjoy lyrics from music. For me, like the most enjoyment or the most sort of into music I get is when I hear a good lyric. I'm like, fucking hell, like it knocks me on my arse. And he's written some of the most amazing lyrics of all time. And he was always very, very cool from a different way. He wasn't like drinking vodka on the stage and spitting it out and like slapping folk around. Not that people were doing that, but you know, like just a normal dude who happened to be in one of the biggest bands in the world. And so it's funny
you say that. Like the lyrics that kind of jump out. A band that I've been listening to this year, the Laphams. The Laphams.
Oh yeah, I've seen the name.
Their song "Struggle." I was say earlier in the year when I was having a bit of a shit time. It was now I can't even remember the lyrics. It was something you can't remember the things that used to make you smile. Yeah. And I just want to start smiling again. It was something along them lines, and I mind that's still even now. I'm just like, when I hear that now, I'm like, oh god. Yeah. It chills. Sorry. Next question. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Do I believe in Bigfoot?
Here we go.
Fucking hell. How big are we talking? I don't know. It's weird that because I was talking about Bigfoot not long ago.
You were talking to a Bigfoot.
About Bigfoot.
Show me where he is.
Yeah. I mean, to me, you know, you got Bigfoot and like the Loch Ness Monster and all that. So I probably would say there was something that was Bigfoot, but it wouldn't be.
Are you more of a skeptical person? Would you say on like that sort of sign, like Nessie and?
Yeah, I mean, for example, Nessie, it probably was an elephant that escaped from a local.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
That was the thing I read that made the most sense. It escaped from a circus. And Bigfoot, yeah, it was probably just like a big bloke. I don't know. I don't know. But then, I mean, not to veer too far off, but there's all these sort of sightings of panthers and stuff. Like,
I've seen
not
them
far from here.
Well, look at him.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's right there.
He looks
No,
angry.
I've seen black cats.
Yeah,
Twice.
totally. Yeah,
twice just across at the golf club.
It's weird, huh?
They were big. They were
Yeah.
big. I mean, he's a big cat,
Yeah.
and this thing was a big cat. Like,
Yeah.
not huge, not like a tiger, but
Yeah.
it was big. Like,
I always thought it was weird. Like, I just moved to Dunfermline. I lived in Edinburgh for 10 years. And up until recently, I lived next to the zoo, or quite close to the zoo. And I always
scary
thought,
at night time.
I got like another story for another day. I got locked inside the zoo
Fuck off.
at my work once. Yeah. They were like, right, bye. And it was like 9 o'clock at night, and me and my coworker were just walking around the zoo in the dark, and it was quite cool because of all the noise, you know. But yeah, I used to think that I'd be out for a walk at night and be like, there's a real possibility that a lion could just escape and come and get me, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. When I was at college, we done we had a specially organised nighttime tour of the zoo.
Nice.
And
That's
then we went in, and you go into the lion, like not the lion enclosure, like where they how did we go? Where the zookeepers go, and obviously it's like pitch dark, and we went in, and basically you go like right up to the glass, and it is still like pitch dark. And the next thing you'll hear is like the bang, and it's just the paws getting like, because they can still see you.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And it's like, see, walking about the zoo at night time, it is terrifying. Like,
yeah.
and like you could hear lion. Nah, I wouldn't be able to live near the zoo. I'm too paranoid for that.
Yeah, it was something that just popped into my head one night, and I was like, oh god.
What gig in your head has been the standout gig moment for you? Like, that you've played at.
That played at.
That you played at, yeah. Is there like a gig in your head that you can just always think back to and think, fuck, that was a good one?
Yeah, definitely, and it's the Lindisfarne 2019.
Oh yeah.
Played on the Friday night, I think it was. Was it Friday night? Yeah, it was Friday night or Saturday night. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But the reason that it was so good, there's a few that jump out, but this one jumps out because I remember we started. Have you been to Lindisfarne?
The festival?
Yeah.
No.
Well, their main stage is in like a big tent, like a big marquee.
Right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
It's a big old tent, you know. I don't know how many it can hold. But it started out and there was maybe like 50 people in there, you know, and then I think it was during like the last couple of songs, it just was filling up, and then just that, because it was such a big stage, the sound was fucking class as well.
I bet it was.
Yeah, and it was like just that moment of fucking hell, these people are listening to our songs, and there's quite a few of them here, you know, and that was just a really special moment for I think all of us, to be honest. It was good.
It's funny just when you said that, when you're on about stage equipment, is I forgot, you know that sound when you get on stage. Now I've only been plugged into probably a 50 watt amp at most.
Okay.
What's it like? Like, is it as loud as like how is it on stage at something like that? Is it loud to you, or are you like plugged in?
I mean, it is loud. I mean, I'm terrible. I never protect my ears, and my ears ring all the time. Like Jack Brown, he's always telling me to get in-ear monitors, and I've just never have. But no, it's not that loud. You get monitors, and then the amps. Because I remember when I was the Foo Fighters when I was 11 or 10 or however old I was. I was like, Jesus, it must be loud up there. But they just mic everything up, so it's a lot quieter.
It's right.
Like I used to think like when Queen would play Wembley, it was like, it must be so loud. They're fucking.
Yeah,
you know.
I was gonna say you must.
But we look back now, you think, oh, God, why would I think that? But like, if you don't know, you don't know, you know. Yeah, it's not. It's usually like you say, you got a nice balance on your monitors, and you can have it. It's like I'm again pretty bad. Like tonight, especially like this sound guys. I'm always like up a bit more, a bit more, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, well, just as loud as it can go, please.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta play loud. It's the funnest part.
Exactly.
Of course, it's the funnest part. Favorite food.
My favorite food.
My favorite meal. Yeah.
Oh God. You know, probably anything I can put in a wrap.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Fucking last year or so, I've gotten really into rap. This is rock and roll, kids. I got really into raps. You know.
Yeah.
And just seeing how far I can take it. You know.
What was that? What was food like across in the States?
Oh, it was mental. It was bizarre. Yeah, I remember. I mean, I've been lucky enough to go to the States a few times. But when I was there with the guys with Warehouse, I remember one night, because I was 19, they were all drinking, and not that I would ever do that.
21 across there.
21. So I would sometimes I would risk it.
Yeah.
But more often than not, I'd be too scared. And they gave me a drink. It was like a Pepsi, but it had like a fucking big wad of candy floss on top of it.
Oh, yeah,
it's really weird. Yeah. And like another place, I got deep fried ice cream, which was like ice cream that they would put coconut around it and then deep fry it.
I think I've seen that on Man B Food before. Something like that with the new guy, not Adam Richmond, the new guy, Casey Wade.
Oh yeah, I've not seen the new ones. I've seen
Casey's
the old
quite
ones.
cool.
Oh yeah,
quite funny. His old Casey.
Nice. Yeah.
he's no Adam Richmond, but he's alright. Like,
and yeah, just a lot of food. So
nice.
Yeah. What about you? What's your favorite food?
Toad in the hole.
Oh,
that's yeah. I can answer
came
that
you
really
very
quick.
quickly. Yeah,
I can answer that quite quickly. Toad in the hole. Right, it has to be toad in the hole with mashed potatoes, mashed neeps, peas, and a shit ton of gravy.
Well, I know where you can get a good load of peas. So
yeah, well, that is what we're. Yeah, you were going to ask me what I do.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Well, I do. You see, as soon as you said it, it kind of shot back into my mind that there is a pea factory here.
Yeah, there's a big pea factory here.
Because when in high school, I remember, because obviously I went to high school here, as did you. In the summer, the two jobs that everyone would want you could go work in the pea factory or you could go work in the fish factory.
Yeah.
So like,
do you know how hard it is to get staff in pea seasons these days? We have to use agency.
Oh really?
Honestly, yeah. When I started up there,
I can't pea leave it. Sorry.
Well, I couldn't pee happier here.
Wait.
I actually had to think about that for a while.
That
I
was
should
worth
know
it.
a
It
lot
paid
more
off.
pee jokes than that.
Yeah.
No, no, you're right. Back in our high school days, getting a seasonal job up at the pea factory was like hitting a gold mine.
Yeah.
And that's how I started there. I kind of I was lucky enough.
Have you been there since high school?
I've never not had a summer to myself since high school.
Whoa.
It's scary.
That's crazy.
It's horrible.
That's
yeah.
I'm working.
Next year will be my 20th pea season.
Whoa.
It's horrible.
Nice.
It's a horrible statistic.
No,
for somebody that after his third one would be like when I was still a student.
Yeah.
After my fourth one, that's when they put the shackles on me. They said, "You're not getting out of here, Paul."
Hey man.
I could have done murder.
You could have done, but you've got a job, man.
That's me. Nah,
living the dream.
It's a good job.
Yeah,
it's a good job. I've got a nice little house.
You do. You got a nice big house.
And that, yeah. It pays for the bills and it pays for my enjoyment outside of work as well. So that's the main aspect. I wish I was playing music more, but
well, it's never too late.
It's never too late. That's something that I kind of want to get back into this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I really want you, if you'd be so kind, to come back onto the show again.
100%.
Maybe in the new year. Tomorrow?
No.
Come back. You play your gig tonight and then come back down.
Just come straight back down.
Come on, we'll do it again.
Yeah. 3:30 in the morning. Let's go.
No, I want to do a lot more talks with like yourself. I'm speaking about getting Andrew Valentine on the show as well.
Oh yeah. So I played with Andrew 2017.
Yeah.
With John Peakman and some others. I think Jono stepped in at one point.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. One of the bigger gigs that I played. We played in a big theater in Livingston, and then did a couple of gigs with him. He's a great songwriter. He's in a punk band now. I think. IOD.
He's been telling me some funny stories lately. Actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But being on stage, Less Than Jake or something. I think the singer from Less Than Jake came up and sang with him, and
nice.
It's maybe some urination story or something
okay.
that I probably shouldn't repeat on here.
Yeah. I'm Mark. And Andrew's another great songwriter from the area, and again, these people that are just hidden away that
Yeah, hidden gems.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I say, well, it's people like you that I have on the show that I call a local hero because you've meant a lot to me.
As did you to me.
And thanks, man. And it's been great having you on, and I definitely would love to have you on again in the new year.
100%.
And I hopefully once we get some band nights sorted, we'll get you headlining some of them too.
Only if you play that California song with me.
I will 100%. All right, tell you what, I'll make a deal with you now. I'll play that song with you if you do the vocal rendition of "I Wish I Never Knew."
Okay.
Yes.
Have you still got your binder? You remember you showed me you had a binder full of your music.
Yeah. One of the cats just jumped down. That's another cat. Sorry. I just wondered what that was.
There's your binder.
I do actually. Yeah, I've still got. Very weirdly, a while ago, I found it, and I actually read some of my lyrics from like when I was like 15.
Yeah.
Some of them, it's to say you don't want to sound big-headed with that, but some of them I'm like, that's actually quite fantastic as a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's something that I'm really, really interested to get back in. So we will play together at some point, I'm sure.
100%.
And then after that, we can pick up an episode about how that is.
Yes,
how that's
sounds
been.
good.
I think that sounds pretty fucking cool, man.
Nice one.
So so honestly, once more, pal, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, pal.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Right, guys, I really hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. It's been 90 minutes of your absolute pleasure. I'm sure you've heard me fall off a chair.
Yeah.
And, that's about that. And we're going to wrap that up, guys. Okay, this has been Andrew Willix with the Borderline Podcast. Good night.